Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 5 of Step In. I'm excited to be here with you guys. We have a new face joining us today. This is Emma. She is our next gen pastor, as well as my boss and my other boss, Mike.
Wow.
Welcome back.
Yes.
So Emma is also my daughter.
Fun fact.
And many people claim that she is my favorite child out of my 6
I've
kids.
heard that plenty of times as well.
It was in front of the church, which Lucas was not happy about. He exclaimed mid-sermon and said, "That's me," which I think is not true.
Okay, hold it. I said in front of the church, let's be clear, that many people think you're my favorite child. And then Lucas said, no, she's not.
Yes, that's true. So we left, I guess the favorite child is unnamed.
I will neither confirm or
Mystery
deny
child.
that Emma's my favorite child, but she is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll
It's
take
good
it.
to have you.
I'll take
Wow,
it.
that's so sweet.
Do you think you're my
guys.
favorite child?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's solved right there.
Oh.
Okay. Well, I'm going to explain how this works, Emma, since this is your
thank
first
you,
time on.
yes.
I'm not sure if you've heard the podcast before.
I've heard it once or twice.
We slowly go through some questions regarding Mike's talk on the previous Sunday, and it's an opportunity for us to spend more time on it,
To
step in a little bit
Wow.
deeper
Got it, yeah.
to it. And yeah, so would you like to start us off?
I can start us off. And I'm going to be reading the questions. And I would just
Hey.
like to preface, whoa.
Just before we step
Okay,
into
yeah,
that,
go ahead. Just before we lock into step in.
this is the last podcast before the Super Bowl.
Oh,
So I would like to give you guys both the chance.
okay.
And I will take my chance to predict the winner of the Super Bowl.
Done.
Who is in the Super Bowl?
That's great, Emma. It's not Taylor Swift's boyfriend this year. He did
Oh,
not
good
make,
one.
He did
Oh,
not. He did
so
not.
good.
He did not make Super Bowl. It is the New England Patriots
Okay.
Making a
and
comeback.
the Seattle Seahawks.
Who plays on
Which
any
is
of those
big
teams
for our hometown.
I don't.
that we care?
No one that I think you've heard of.
Okay.
Would you agree with that, Taylor? No, really.
I know Bad Bunny's going to be there too.
Okay.
Taylor's very looking forward to
Halftime.
Bad Bunny. Yes.
Halftime?
I might be one of the few, but I am excited for it.
Okay.
Yes. I don't care who wins. Does
Okay.
that
Thank
help?
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just guess.
I'm
Just say
gonna
one.
go.
No, it's not the Seahawks.
Oh,
Yeah, it
The
is.
Patriots, I think.
Okay.
I think Seahawks.
Okay.
I hope Seahawks.
Winner gets
Super Bowl.
something.
The Lombardi Trophy.
Okay.
No, like a gift.
Oh,
Like, what do
here?
we have to give each other?
Lunch.
Lunch.
Sure.
And who are you going for?
Seahawks.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay.
Brianna? No, who are you picking? Jake?
Come on now.
JP? Okay.
I love
Whoa.
that.
Okay.
Lots of Seahawks.
Well, we'll see. Okay. Are we ready to step in?
Let's
Okay.
go.
Let's step in.
So, first question. When you began your sermon on Sunday, you talked about Romans 12:2 and referenced how the renewing of your mind that verse mentions leads to soul restoration. So, could you explain that a little bit more and what does that look like for us in 2026?
Okay, so that's such a good question. So first of all, what it means is this. It's like what we talked about before is this word repentance, which is basically making a change. Specifically, I've said it this way before. When you repent, you change your mind. And when you change your mind, God will change your heart. And so when we look at our culture today, we've talked a lot about it, that our current culture is not getting great results. Like what the experts say is that we're more anxious than any culture in human history. We're more lonely, we're more divided, we're more addicted, we're more miserable, we're more angry than any culture in human history. So therefore, it's not working. What I mean by that is we live in that culture though.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're a little bit like fish who don't know they're wet. Like we're in it. And so the renewing of your mind is this ability to go, okay, hold it. There's a different way to do this. Like, I don't have to just, we say like, everybody knows that money doesn't buy happiness, but yeah, we kind of live as if it does. That's a non-renewed mind. That's a mind that just goes with the flow. This is the way the culture's doing it, so this is the way that I'm going to do it. A renewed mind says, okay, hold it. Is this the life that I'm created to live? And so it's that thought. It's just like, okay, this system as currently designed isn't getting great results. So therefore, I'm going to change my mind and say, Jesus, I want a new system. And then Jesus begins to change your heart. And then you have heart restoration, or we've been referring to it as a soul formation. So when we change our mind and say, God, I don't want to chase out, what do they say? Even if you win the rat race, you're still a rat. You know what I mean? Okay. So, but the point is, I don't want to just get in the rat race and just do what everyone else does and be a fish who doesn't know it's wet. I want to step back. And I think it was my friend Pauline who preached a sermon years and years ago. And it said,
I remember that sermon.
okay, just because you have a thought doesn't mean
Is it the flesh? Like it was the two wolves in your mind one? Is that the one that you're talking about? Or am I thinking of a different one?
That was actually my sermon, Emma.
That is not true. We can
she stole it from me.
Brianna can look and she can find it, but keep going.
Okay. But Pauline said, just because you had a thought doesn't mean you need to think it. And so I think it's just that renewing of my mind is like, okay, God, like I don't have to just be in the same race that everybody else is in. I want to pursue you. Then my heart begins to change. And I have this soul formation, which means I'm changed from the inside out, and I don't have to settle for kind of like this external chasing what everybody else is chasing. I experience, like I bring a different me into my circumstances. So that's basically what the Romans 12:2 connection to so the renewed mind is me changing my mind, and then that leads to God changing my heart, and I experience spiritual formation. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
I kind of have a question for you guys then. There's a statement that keeps coming up in this series, and it's that God doesn't always change your circumstances. Now, the truth is, we have seen miracles. We saw a miracle just the last 2 weeks where a family, a Southside family who are very close to us, had a son who basically was dead. He had to be resuscitated, and it looked like he was never going to fully recover, and God's done a miracle there. I believe that we have a God of miracles. Often, however, it doesn't work that way. And the comment that we've been making throughout this series is, how would your life change if, while circumstances remained the same, you brought a different you, a changed you into those same circumstances? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah. When I think about that too, I think about myself, and after you get out of like those harder seasons and you look back and you go, wow, like I did not show up in any way. Like you learn like, oh, like now I can take pieces that I've learned now looking back going forward. But what if I had taken, like in those moments, what if I invited God into it?
I love that.
And I remember I was talking to my coworker, Jake, who's also your guys' coworker, about a book.
Jake.
Hello, Jake. Jake is here. About a book that we're reading called Fairness is Overrated. And the chapter was about margins in our life. And Jake was just sharing about how when he's super, super busy, he gets super anxious, which I can relate to. And then you're not inviting God into like those moments. You look back on it when you're like at the end of yourself and you're so anxious that you have no other choice but to like dump it all at God's feet. Because you're like, I actually can't do this by myself anymore. But what would it look like to invite him in every single day, which is kind of what you talked about as well. Like how it was habitual for you to just pray without ceasing, like look around and invite God into every day. But when Jake shared that, it was so, I don't know, kind of convicting to me, because I feel like I do that so often, is that I'll get to the end of a really stressful season and be like, whoa, that was stressful. Thanks God for getting me through that. But what if it didn't have to be like a stressful season? What if it was a season that like I invited God into every moment? And I don't know. Do you know? Does that make sense at all?
Like I love that, because I think that there's a natural mindset we have, or almost a default that we fall to, which is I am a victim of my circumstances. So therefore we go into marriage and we say, well, if she does this, 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 and this, then I'll do this, 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 and this. Or we go into work and go, if everything goes well, then, but what you're saying, Emma, I think what I hear you saying is like, the season can be stressful.
Yes.
But I don't have to be stressed.
Exactly.
So and that's what the Bible talks about, peace that passes understanding.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's what we're talking about here, is like, what if I brought a different me? Not I sway, I get tossed around by the waves of circumstance, but there is this solidness to me grounded in Jesus, that while the circumstances aren't always easy, I bring a different me into them. I love that, what you said.
Yeah, because I even think about, I have a 15-month-old, and I think so much of being a mom and like stepping into that and being a parent, regardless, is like you rising above the circumstance. Because like everything about being a new mom is stressful. Like there's beautiful moments and it's all great, but you can let all the stressful things like take away the joy of it if you let it. And so I feel like that's the most like concrete example in my life right now. That's like when Theo is crying or whatever he's doing, he's a very busy guy. So when he's ripping out all of the Tupperware in the drawer, I can go, like, I can be angry, or I can just embrace it and be like, oh, like that was so fun. And it's like, it's 5 minutes of my life rather than letting it ruin like an entire moment. Did I just derail your thought?
No,
or
not at all. I was just chuckling because the only kid I've ever seen as busy as Theo is Emma.
Which is
when
so
she was
crazy.
a kid.
Yes. And I think that helps me as well. It's coming back around.
Taylor, any thoughts that you have on the whole bringing a different you into the same old circumstances, so to speak?
I feel like a lot of the time I could muster up courage and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to bring a way more positive Taylor into this circumstance, or I'm going to bring a way more bold Taylor into this. And then when it gets to that point where I'm actually in it, whether that's, I don't know, a work scenario, or you're going to like a holiday party with like a whole bunch of random relatives, whatever like the circumstance is, I'm thinking I'm going to go in and do this. And then it gets to it. I'm like, okay, well, like who am I to actually change something this big? And I think a lot of the time is what I do is I try to focus me and my own strength. I'm going to change this circumstance instead of just being like, oh, like I'm actually not by myself in this. And a lot like what you said, inviting God into those moments. I feel like going into it, I feel very, very confident about it, but then I try to rely on myself again. And then that's where I hit that wall of being like, oh, like what am I going to change? And so I find that actually quite a convicting question, because I do find myself trying to do that, but only in my own strength. And then it doesn't get me anywhere, if that makes sense.
Dude,
that was such a good answer. Yeah.
I love that, because one of the things we talked about in the sermon was just that God's plans surely for you and me and for you, Emma, can't be, hey, let's just pretend to be something that we're not. So it's like even that thing with a busy 15-month-old or going into the holiday party. So what if it's like, and this is what I really, as I'm like older, I've been realizing this last little while, like God's plan isn't, sure, when the moment comes, I should grin and bear it. But like, what if God's plan, and I believe it is that I don't have to grin and bear it? That there's a plan that he has for me, that I am the kind of person that can walk into a holiday party and bring just a little bit of peace, a little bit of light. So in other words, circumstances don't control me, because I have this grounding. And I really think that's the life that God has called us to, that we don't have to muster up this false persona, but we just have to be who he is creating us to be. So
I feel like too, we need to move along.
Okay.
My one thought too about that is like how you say, be the youest you. I think, was that how you coined it?
Be the youest you. Yeah, sure.
Oh, I like the youest.
Sure, do it. Use it. I like it. If you like youest, use it.
But I remember I
like
saw
that.
there was some controversy about that, but it makes me think of that. Because when you invite God into every moment, and Taylor, even when you're saying like you're walking into a holiday party and you're saying, I want to be the Taylor that brings joy into this, or whatever it might be, that is us stepping into the calling and stepping into who God like created us to be. So that is us being the youest you, the usiest us. I don't even know, like, what am I coining here? But do you know what I mean? It just made me think of that, because I love when you say that.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people get it kind of twisted on what that actually means.
That's good, Emma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Should we go to the next one?
Yeah. I think something that stood out to me about this last Sunday, you brought up how studying the Bible alone wouldn't bring spiritual formation, like memorizing verses or just, I don't know, diving into it that way. And it kind of reminded me of your conversation with Rich Stewart. And as well, we got the opportunity to hang out with him in our Bro Hawks men's group afterwards. And
don't look at me. Don't side eye me when you say that.
Bro Hawks is the best.
Yeah,
it's pretty
for
cool.
sure. Okay,
and it reminded me, because he brought up something. He said when he was younger, he knew about Jesus, but now he knows Jesus. Did you have any thoughts you wanted to elaborate about that?
Yeah, I do. Like, I think we said something in the sermon, which was like, knowing something isn't the same as doing something, and doing something isn't the same as becoming somebody who naturally and effortlessly does these things. And so I think what happens is, like, when you study the Bible for information and not transformation, you just end up with a bunch of information. So maybe I could put that a different way. We quoted James chapter 1, verse 22 in the sermon this week. And basically it says, like, don't just hear the word, do it. I've heard it said this way before. Sometimes instead of reading the Bible, we have to ask the Bible to read us. So King David in Psalm 139 said it this way. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is anything, what does it go? See if there's anything wrong in me and lead me in the way everlasting.
Yeah.
And so it's just this idea of like opening up the Bible and saying, okay, like, God, show me, right? Like, I want to know you. I don't want to just know about you. And it's like when we truly get to know Jesus, like when we're just reading the Bible, not just for a set of facts, but for a relationship. Another way I've heard, I think Tim Keller explained it this way. He said, the Bible's like a mirror. And when you look into the Bible, you see yourself as you are, but you also see another image, and that's the the youest version of you, the person that God created you to be.
Yeah.
And so there's this beautiful dichotomy, which is like, on one hand, the more I actually get to know Jesus, the more I actually, where he unveils to me this plan and he leads me in the way everlasting, as David said, but in this way of like who I was created to be in the first place. So I just think that when we read the Bible, it's really, really great. But I think we have to realize we don't read the Bible just for the sake of knowing information, so that we can walk around and win a Bible sword drill or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
But we read the Bible because we really believe that it's powerful. We read the Bible and we say, God, like, tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up for that.
Yeah.
If there's someone listening right now who has never read the Bible and they have one, I don't know, sitting beside them right now, and they're about to open it up, what would be your suggestion to them to read the Bible in a way that could help lead to spiritual formation or actually deepen that knowing Jesus instead of just learning it for facts that you could rip off?
What would you tell them?
I was told this and I appreciated it. I was recommended to read through John first.
Yeah.
And then as well as the other Gospels, just because they're the first person accounts of Jesus while he was here on earth. And it's a really great window into who the character of Jesus is and who the character of God is. And when we understand that first, it makes it so much easier to understand the rest of the Bible because we look at it through that lens instead of just, I don't know, diving into Revelation off rip. And I found that very, very helpful because it does turn it more into a relationship first, and we can understand his character. And then through that, we can apply it to Old Testament and as we go through other things as well.
I love that.
No, that's really good. It makes me think too, I feel like I'm just learning this, like how to read the Bible, not because it's what people like expect you to do. Because I feel like, and this is for all Christians, not just people working at a church, but there's always these, I don't know, like I can carry around the expectations of like what someone would think of someone that calls himself a Christian, or for like us here, like works at a church. So sometimes reading the Bible is more like I can check that off and go like, oh, I'm protected. Like I read the Bible today. I'm so smart. But I feel like in this season, God has really challenged me to like, no, like I want to know him more so that I can be like him and not so that I can, not for anyone else's benefit, but it's literally for me. And that's what God is calling us to. So I feel like that answers that so well. And I feel like it's something that is so hard to like really get into our minds, that you're not doing it to ace a test. Like God's not testing you on like the facts or how many kings or like, I don't even know. Like I'm reading Genesis right now and it's like, there's chapter after chapter of like the most random facts.
Noah,
Yes. And it's like, this is not important. Like, I don't think so. I'm not taking a Rels 101 quiz, but I don't know. It just has changed my perspective on like why I'm reading the Bible and why it's important.
Yeah. I can't do better than what you guys are saying. The only thing I could add is just, if you're just new to the Bible and trying to figure something out, like, and you're all alone and you got no one else to kind of help you, you can honestly text us 604-670-3040 anytime. And we could help you with a Bible reading plan. I got lots of thoughts, but I think what you guys said was really, really good. And like I said, if you need help and you want someone to help you walk through it, we'd love to do that. Yeah.
No, that's great. Should we go to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to read it, Taylor?
Go for it.
Okay. After explaining how your cardio of choice at Trinity was a jump rope,
that's right,
you said we need a jump rope for the soul. So can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So basically what we've been talking about, and I'll just give you the quote. We're going to talk about this quote a lot in the weeks to come, is that we arrange our life around certain practices through which we receive the power to do what we couldn't do through direct effort. And it's really, really important. So for me, I arranged my life when I got to Trinity to do 15 minutes of jump rope before I lifted weights and at least 15 minutes after. Now, I did that because I thought I was supposed to get cardio. But what happened is I arranged my life around that a little bit and I changed. I went from in September, a person who couldn't dunk a basketball, to in March, I could dunk a basketball. Okay, whatever. My point is,
just had to throw that one in there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But spiritual formation is a little bit like that in the sense of, I call it jump rope for the soul, because we're doing these things not because, okay, so for example, next week we're going to talk about the spiritual practice of solitude and silence. Okay. You don't practice silence so that you get really good at being silent. You practice silence because what you do when you do that is you follow the example of Jesus and you cooperate with the work of the Holy Spirit and you become a different kind of person. So now, just like Mike Manis jumping rope went from a guy who couldn't dunk a basketball to a guy who could, you maybe go from a person who could never find peace to a person 1 year later that is beginning to glimpse a little bit of peace that even goes deeper than their circumstances. And so that's why I called it Jump Rope for the Soul.
That's good. I have a follow-up question about that.
Can we pause before you do that?
Yeah.
Is that the same, like Darren and Dave and them telling you to do 15 minutes of cardio, you doing the jump rope? Has that now transitioned into the 15 minutes of elliptical that you do before and after your workouts?
If you catch Mike in the gym, you will see him work on that machine.
It's quite a sight, but is that the same logic?
Okay, I'd like to ask you, what would you like to say about the elliptical? Like, aren't I doing good on it?
You're doing incredible. You're the only person I've ever seen on it, and it's incredible.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Taylor and Emma. Thank you for bringing that up.
No, you're very welcome.
Well, no. I have since changed, and now I do my cardio after.
Okay, anyways, Taylor.
My follow-up question.
Yes.
In your talk, you mentioned how, like you just said, you were practicing jump rope, then you played volleyball, and you just flew. Like you could probably fit a full-size credit card under your vert at that point.
Maybe even two. Maybe even two.
You went and you dunked a basketball. My question is, are we confirming those are 10-foot hoops?
Well, it's been a long time, Taylor.
And none of us can prove it.
Right. I mean, Taylor, I would say yes.
But that's really all I wanted to bring up. That's incredible.
Thank you.
This is just these big words for someone who has created a highlight reel of himself dunking and played it in front of our kids' church. Who was that, Taylor?
In fact, what we're going to do is, as this podcast is playing in the background, we're going to find Taylor's highlight reel and put it in the background.
We talked about saying this, and he would like the world to know that he himself did not create a highlight tape. He made it for the kids. You know, because he just
that was so selfless of you, Taylor.
Yeah, it was a sermon.
What a nice thing for you to do.
We need to reel this back.
Okay,
I get it. This is fun, but I don't need to explain myself.
Okay, good.
I'm just going to let it sit like that.
We're just going to show Taylor's highlight reel in the background.
And if it doesn't show up, I don't know what we're going to do about it. Okay, I have a serious question now.
Okay.
And my question is this. In your sermon, you brought up the idea of the Christian honeymoon phase. 1, could you explain a little bit more about what that is? And then 2, why does it feel so natural in those first few days, few weeks, few months, or whatever it is, as we step into faith? And then after that, it can seem sometimes like we almost hit a wall or things just get a lot more difficult. What would you have to say about that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but the Christian honeymoon phase is just kind of like this concept that sometimes right after Jesus saves you, you kind of unintentionally live the with Jesus life is what we called it. Right. And so maybe you spend time in silence and solitude, not because you think that's a good idea, but because you just do. Because you're just like, whoa, Jesus saved me, and you're grateful, which is another massive part of living the Christian life and inviting the Holy Spirit's work in your life. And so I think part of it is that, like, when Jesus saves us, we go from spiritually dead to spiritually alive. There's a change. We kind of dive in, right, with both feet. But then over time, and I don't think it's, for a vast majority of people, it's not a bad thing. It's not like, oh, I'm turning my back on Jesus. No, we're not. We're just like, life happens.
Yeah.
And distractions happen and things get complicated. And we never once said, oh, I'm not going to live the with Jesus life anymore. It just sort of happened. And my suggestion is that, I don't even know if you want to call it a honeymoon phase, but my suggestion would be this: the spiritual formation that happened back then can still happen today. But it won't happen unintentionally anymore. Yeah. We have to get intentional about it.
Well, that's the whole point of this series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emma.
Which actually
Thank you for noticing.
Oh, you're welcome. But while you were talking about this most recently, like on Sunday, you shared about like your experience at Trinity, and that you just walked in and it was just like this incredible experience. You just want to be friends with everyone, which is really funny. I don't know. It's interesting for me to compare like our faith journeys, because I became a Christian when I was 5 years old. And that's like largely because of like you and Mom and how you guys model your life and how you guys follow Jesus so well. So that made me think of a conversation that you and I had. Okay. So it was after my first year of university. And I remember telling you how frustrated I was with what felt like so many judgmental Christians that were sitting around barefoot, singing Kumbaya with a banjo, like that kind of a vibe, which is mean. There's so many amazing people at Trinity, but that was kind of my first initial experience. You responded by saying that when you walked onto the Trinity campus, you felt such deep gratitude for where Jesus had brought you that you barely noticed whether anyone was annoying. You were just thankful to be there. And that really stuck with me. And it made me realize how when someone becomes a Christian at a young age, it can be easy to lose that sense of wonder and gratitude. And at least for me, instead of being thankful, I found myself looking around and judging people for practicing their faith in ways that I thought were annoying. So that's my long-winded way of my question is, I'm wondering that how do long-term Christians hold on to gratitude and humility and avoid becoming judgmental of the people around them?
Yeah, well, you just said it. So first of all, Emma did not see a single person playing a banjo at Trinity. There's no one who plays.
No, I could ask
a banjo.
Friends, everyone corroborate the story. Like I could find a lot of people.
Okay, so I think that the question is a good one, but you answered it. When you first get saved, when you're 19 years old or when you're 5 years old, you're filled with a sense of gratitude. Doesn't last forever though. It's back to that unintentional, intentional thing. So gratitude doesn't come natural for anybody. Like we talked earlier, like whining about our circumstances comes a lot more natural. And so I think that, so number one, you hold on, you said, hold on to your humility and hold on to gratitude. Yeah. That's not just going to happen. We don't gravitate towards selflessness. We don't gravitate towards humility. We don't gravitate towards gratitude. That's a choice we have to make.
Yeah.
So there's this recovery phrase like from the 12 steps that comes to me sometimes, and it says, sweep your own side of the street. And I kind of like that because it's like, man, I got enough things that I need to deal with. I got a lot of growth that I need to pursue. The last thing I need to be doing is looking around at other people and worrying about how they need to grow. I'm just going to sweep my own side of the street. Secondly, like you said, hold on to gratitude. And here's a third point, and I know it doesn't directly relate to this, but I think it's kind of huge. It does remind me, though, that God's plan for you and for me is not to pretend. And here's what I mean. Or the Rich Stewart comment from earlier, like, I know about Jesus, but I don't know him. Those people become repellent. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't draw people in. And I think that the idea is sweeping my own side of the street and asking me, okay, Jesus, am I getting to know you better?
Yeah.
Am I arranging my life around certain practices through which I will receive the power to do what I can't do through? In other words, am I pursuing the youest version? Am I putting myself in a place where you can make me into the youest version of me? Because if I'm not, in the middle of looking around at other people, guess what? I'm a part of the problem. Yeah. Which I don't want to be.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
No, that totally makes sense. Okay, so even when you were sharing that, it just makes me think, because this whole sermon series, you've been talking about before even, like I think in December, November, you're talking about like the Red Sea moment. So when like God brings you through. And for me, that moment was when I was 5. And so like I wouldn't call it a Red Sea moment. It's like I don't know, I'm in the wave pool sort of thing. Like It just isn't, it's not even in the same like category at all. But I remember when I was growing up and I would hear like you share stories, mom share stories, people at church and like Christian people that are like elevated on platforms, they would share about these crazy experiences that they've gone through and this fire and this passion that they had for Jesus. And I couldn't really relate. And I remember kind of feeling jealous of those people. Like I wish that I had a story like that. Like I wish that I could say like, this crazy, the middle of the night, the middle of January, in the middle of Red Deer, Alberta. Like I don't have that.
Right.
So what I wanted to ask was, what advice would you give people like me that think they're less effective to like, I don't know, the mission because they have a less dramatic story?
You know, the first thing that came to mind, you guys tell me what you think. I wonder if it's not church people who like the sensational stories more. So like we sit around in church and we're like, oh, cool. Like it's testimony time. Whoa, you're a Hell's Angel. So cool. Like that's amazing, right? But I wonder in light of the fact that we live in a culture that according to the experts is anxious, lonely, blah, 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 blah. I wonder if it's the John chapter 10, verse 10 stories that the world really wants to see. In other words, where we actually take hold of that youest version of you, the meest version of me, where we actually live abundance. We live a life of beauty and hope and joy and celebration, like the life that we were born to live. That's what the world wants to see. Like, frankly, over time, like, sure, the sensational stories are interesting, But what do they really mean?
Yeah.
Like, here's what I want to say though. I think you brought this up earlier, Emma. I think sometimes the advantage that people who had sensational stories have over people who didn't is gratitude.
Yeah.
And that's a decision.
Yeah.
Like you know, if you had a sensational story at 19 years old and you're filled with gratitude, that's great. Good for you. Hold on to it. But if you were saved at 5 years old, you need to also be grateful, because gratitude will spur you on to those spiritual practices that will form you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's such a good point. Okay, so I have another question. I know I've been talking a lot. Apologies, Taylor. I'm so sorry. But when you paused on your in your sermon on Sunday, you paused in Galatians and talked about what happens if I live God's way. It reminded me of a conversation that you and I had right after I graduated high school. So I had no real plans, and I was talking about traveling Australia. And you asked me if that was what God wanted me to do. And I was frustrated and said, God's not talking to me. I'm asking what to do with my life and I'm not hearing anything. And you just paused and you said, well, are you listening to him? You also said on Sunday that God won't violate our free will. So my question is, very long-winded, I know. Thank you for bearing with me, everyone. For people who feel stuck in patterns that aren't God's way, how would you encourage them to start listening to God?
There's just so many times that I've talked to people who just feel really confused, like they're not hearing from God, you know, and one of the things that I think I've said before is like, if you find yourself stuck about something that you don't know what God is saying, go to the last thing that you know God said and do that. So if you're finding the complicated too complicated, go back to the simple.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so today we had a baptism, like we said. That was today. We had church just now. Okay. So 79 people stepped up and got baptized. So cool. But there's probably more people that felt like they should have got baptized, but they just didn't. And so maybe tomorrow, like, and that's fine, right? They'll get baptized the next time. It's not the end of the world, but it's like God always invites us into obeying in the simple things. So for example, if I talk to someone tomorrow and they're like, I don't know, man. I don't know what major I should take in school. And I'm like, hey man, do you believe in Jesus? Yeah, I totally do. And let's say I say to them, hey, have you been baptized? And they're like, no. I'd be like, hey, I know how I can help you pick your major. Get baptized. What? That has nothing to do with my major. Oh yeah, it does. God's just forming you.
Yeah.
God's forming you. So as we start this next week at church, we're going to talk about different spiritual practices. And so like when I asked Emma years and years ago, like, are you listening? Well, I don't know. Am I listening sometimes?
Do you remember that conversation, by the way?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do. And it's like, am I listening sometimes? Because this world is really loud and it's really chaotic. So am I carving out time where I take my headphones out, right? I sit still. I try to slow my mind and I just go, hey, God, speak. And it might be nothing. It might just be, I love you. I'm loved. Oh, wow, amazing. You know, and so I think it's like, sometimes we bump into really, really complicated decisions. And this is a really far out way to say it. I think you'll understand more as we continue through this series. But what if our focus became this? I want to cooperate with God to become the kind of person who can make complicated decisions easy.
Yeah.
And the way we do that is we go back and just do the simple things, the simple invitations that God has given us into becoming who we were created to be.
I love that.
I have a thought on that as well. I think it was, you brought this up a long time ago when we were going through our core values as a church.
Yep.
And it was the idea of, if the Bible was full of every single decision you were supposed to make, it'd be like way too long to read. You're like, what do you want to order at Wendy's or whatever? Yeah. And you have to flip to page 1 billion. Who knows?
Junior bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah, which I'm more of a chicken sandwich kind of guy.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Taylor.
I know. But just to what you said, like, do exactly what you know he's already asked of you, and he'll likely guide you from there. So yeah, same. Have you been, or do you believe in Jesus? Have you been baptized yet? Or do you believe in Jesus and are you serving yet? Or do you tithe? Like, those very simple, obvious next steps in the Bible seem unrelated, like you just mentioned. However, we do believe that when we do what God tells us to do, he'll also show us what to do next.
Yeah.
So that's something that stood out with me to do with that question.
So good.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like as we close, I just want to ask you guys of like a random question. We're talking a lot about gratitude, and I feel like that's kind of woven in to this whole series, is like gratitude for what God's done in our lives and where he's bringing us. So I wanted to ask you guys, what is the last thing that made you feel grateful?
I got mine right away.
Whoa, Taylor,
Last
go.
night I was...
Does it involve your dog?
It does not... Well, I'm always grateful for him.
Taylor loves his dog, Zeus. Go.
Last night, it was my friend's birthday party, and we went to Top Tracer, had an incredible time.
Nice.
And then we had a fire after, and it was just such an incredible day with friends who care about me and I care about them.
Yeah.
And so last night when I was falling asleep, I was just like, wow, like that was just such a good day. Like I didn't really have anything to complain about. I just have such great friends, and I was very, very grateful for that.
Love that.
That's great.
How
What
about
about
you?
you?
Oh, okay, me?
Oh, yeah, you.
Okay. Well, I told this story on Sunday, and
It has to be an outside Sunday story.
yeah, it definitely is.
Okay.
So I told a story several Sundays ago, actually, about how Corinne and I were going for a walk, and she was like, you got to listen, because I was like, God told me something. She's like, I
Oh,
told you
yes.
that. God's been telling me to tell you. And so one thing I'm really grateful for is like, even after you've been married for a long time, there's still chances to be even a better team. And I think like over the last week or so, like I just feel that Mom and I don't know, we're just like such a great team and just growing. And I'm just really grateful for that.
That's awesome.
So you're grateful for Mom.
Very grateful for Mom.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like the thing that I can think of off the cuff is also I talked about Theo before, but I think that just moments with him where he's showing his personality more and more.
Same
and
here.
even knowing that like, that he is kind of like how I was. And then, I don't know, it's just like, it's a really cool experience to like look at, oh my gosh, like he has traits like me, and just watching him live his life and do funny things. It's like, I'm very grateful that I have him, you know?
He's a cutie.
He is a cutie. Yes.
I love that. I wanted to say too, if you have a chance, if you didn't get a chance to watch this past week's sermon, make sure you just check it out, only because, well, for a lot of reasons, I hope. But one of the things that you guys were both saying today about the idea of the complicated and the simple, and what I would really like to set this foundation of expectation for you and for me would be this. What if we arranged our life around certain practices through which we receive the power to do what we can't do through direct effort? In other words, it's not complicated, but it's really rare that we would just choose to live the with Jesus life. And suddenly, like you said, Taylor, what if all of a sudden we just became wise people? And suddenly those decisions that really perplex us now weren't as perplexing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. Okay, everyone. Well, I won't be here next week, but you'll see them next week.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm excited to be back. Thank you for joining us, Emma.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you for
for
having me.
everyone who is listening.
Should I pray?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Do
And
we
we'll close
pray?
it out. Yeah, I'll pray. So God, we just take a moment to just be still. I just thank you for this challenge today, Lord, to be grateful. For all the people watching and listening, and for the people in this room right now. We just want to confirm to you we are grateful people. We're grateful for salvation, for forgiveness, for a new life that starts right now and stretches into forever. I pray further, God, that as you continue to invite us to live the, as Emma said, the you-iest version of you, the me-iest version of me, that God, that we would just be just people of faith who just keep stepping into that. And so, Father, for all those watching and listening, I pray that you would just give them a moment today, just an opportunity to trust you and to take that step. And that more and more and more, even if our circumstances don't radically, completely change, Father, we just trust you that moment by moment, little by little, that we would change and we would bring a different person into the same old circumstances, which would change absolutely everything. God, you're so good to us. We're so thankful. We love you in your name. Amen.
Amen.